The price of a night, the campus goddess had come to me, begging for help so she could buy a limited edition motorcycle for her golden boy. Her eyes were red, tears streaming down her face like a tragic heroine in a movie. Silas, please. If you just lend me $7,000, I'll do whatever you want. Watching her act so pathetic for another man didn't break my heart. Instead, it felt ridiculous. Fine, since she was walking right into it, why should I play the saint? I showed her no mercy, stripping away every ounce of that high and mighty pure girl persona she had curated for years. As the first light of dawn broke through the curtains, she reached out toward me, her eyes full of expectation. I took my time tightening my tie, and while she watched me with a stunned expression, I casually tossed a single quarter onto the nightstand. $7,000? Given the quality of service last night, that's barely enough for the bus fare home. The air was still thick with the heavy, messy scent of the night's reckless abandon. Lily Rivera sat on the edge of the pristine white sheets, her hair a tangled mess, her silk nightgown hanging loosely off her shoulders to reveal a constellation of dark red marks. Marks I had left there. Even now, her pale, stunning face held a post-intimacy flush, mixed with utter, bone-deep shock. Silas, what the hell is this supposed to mean? Her hand trembled as she picked up the quarter from the nightstand. 25 cents. It was a piece of pocket change I'd pulled from my jeans before getting dressed. In the morning sun, the silver coin gave off a cold, metallic glint, looking like the punchline to a cruel joke. I stood before the full-length mirror, slowly adjusting my cufflinks. The man in the reflection looked indifferent, his lips curled into a faint, mocking ghost of a smile. The Silas Thorne who used to jump at her every command, the one who wouldn't even raise his voice at her, had died during the night. Exactly what it looks like, I said, turning to look down at her. That dignity you're so proud of? In my eyes, that's the market rate. Lily's face went deathly pale, as if I'd backhanded her across the room. She gripped the coin so hard her knuckles turned white, her voice rising to a shrill peak. Silas, you prick. If you didn't want to lend me the money, you could have just said so. Why would you humiliate me like this? Last night you promised me. You said if I stayed, you'd give me the money. I let out a soft chuckle and walked over to the bed. Lily instinctively flinched away, a flicker of genuine fear in her eyes. Look at that. Was this her version of love? Even her reflexes were programmed to avoid me. I leaned down, gripping her chin and forcing her to look me in the eye. I said I'd consider it. I never said I thought you were worth $7,000. Lily, we've been together for 4 years. Do you have any idea how much I've spent on you? At least 40 or 50 grand. You used to scream if I even tried to hold your hand too long, saying you wanted to save everything for our wedding night. And yet here we are. I increased the pressure on my fingers slightly, watching her wince in pain. You were willing to crawl into my bed just to help Jax Miller buy some overpriced bike? Wow, truly a love for the ages. At the mention of Jax Miller, Lily's eyes flickered with a strange, defiant spark. She slapped my hand away and hissed. He needs that bike for the city championships. It's his dream. What would a corporate drone like you know about passion? All you care about is your 9-to-5 and your paycheck. Besides, I never said I wouldn't marry you. I gave you what you wanted last night. What else do you want from me? Silas, don't be a monster. Just Venmo me the money right now, or I'll kill myself. I mean it. If this had been a year ago, a single frown from her would have had me handing her my heart on a silver platter. But now, I just felt sick. I straightened up, pulled a sanitizing wipe from a pack, wiped my hands, and tossed it into the trash can. You want to die? The window's right there. 18th floor. It should be over pretty quick. Just make sure you put some clothes on first. I don't want you traumatizing the neighbors on your way down. Lily was stunned. She stared at me as if she were seeing a complete stranger. Tears began to roll down her cheeks, heavy drops soaking into the expensive sheets. Silas, what happened to you? You weren't like this. Are you blaming me? I know, you're upset about Jax, but we're just friends. I just wanted to help him reach his goals. She started her routine, the sobbing, the guilt-tripping, the soft knife approach she used to carve pieces out of me. Too bad for her. I didn't have any pieces left to give. I grabbed my briefcase and walked to the door, pausing at the threshold. Lily, remember this. As of today, we're even. As for that $7,000. I looked back at her with a sneer. Go ask your golden boy Jax for it. See if you're worth $7,000 in his dream world. I pulled the door open and walked out without looking back. Behind me, I heard the muffled thud of a pillow hitting the door, followed by Lily's hysterical screaming. Silas, you're going to regret this. Get back here. Walking out of the apartment complex, the cold morning air hit my face. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of liberation I'd never known. I pulled out my phone. There were a dozen unread messages from Lily sent during the night. While she was lying under me, enduring my touch, she had been busy calculating how to get the money to Jax. Babe, is the money ready? The dealership is being really pushy. I just need the down payment. Jax said he'll figure out the rest. Hurry up. I'm doing this for you, remember? Looking at the words now, the irony was suffocating. I swiped the screen and tapped on a pin conversation. The contact was saved as the old man. Probation period is over. When are you coming back to the firm? The board members are dying to meet the heir. I typed back a short reply. Give me 2 more days. I have some trash to take out first. I pocketed the phone and headed toward the dusty Porsche Panamera tucked away in the far corner of the parking garage. I'd kept it under a tarp for years to experience the real world. For 4 years to maintain the persona of a struggling young professional. I'd driven a beat-up Toyota Corolla, squeezed onto the L train with Lily, and eaten at Greasy Spoons. I'd even pulled double shifts for 3 months just to buy her that entry-level Hermes bag. Looking back, I was a pathetic fool. As I sat in the driver's seat, the phone buzzed. It was a voice memo from Lily. Her voice was thick with tears and sharpened with venomous hate. Silas, you really did it. You're not giving me the money? Fine. I'll find a way myself. But I'm telling you, I will never forgive you for what you did to me last night. We're over. We're done. I listened to it with a blank face and tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. Breaking up? Perfect. Save me the breath. I cranked the engine, and the roar of the V8 echoed through the empty garage. I drove straight to the largest motorcycle dealership in Chicago, the Red Line Hub. Word was the Ducati V4 SP2 Jax had his eye on was sitting right there. When I arrived, the manager's eyes went wide. He recognized the top-trim Panamera instantly and practically ran out to greet me with a polished smile. Sir, can I help you find something special today? I nodded, scanning the showroom floor. That V4 SP2, is it still available? The manager paused, offering a fawning grin. You have excellent taste. It's a limited edition, just arrived 2 days ago. However, a young man was in here looking at it. He said he was coming in today to drop a deposit. A fellow named Jax Miller. The corner of my mouth quirked up. Oh, did he pay yet? The manager shook his head. Not yet. He said he'd be here by 10. I checked my watch. 9:30 a.m. I'll take it. I pulled out a black Amex Centurion card and held it between 2 fingers. Full price. Cash. I'm taking it home now. The manager's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Anyone in this business knew what that card meant. First come, first served? In the face of absolute wealth, that was a fairy tale for the poor. Absolutely. Please have a seat. I'll get the paperwork started immediately. The manager's voice trembled with excitement as he took the card and practically sprinted toward the finance office. I sat on the leather sofa in the lounge, sipping a cup of premium roast. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I saw a red Mazda pull into the lot. The door opened. Jax Miller stepped out, wearing a flashy, over-designed riding suit, spinning a helmet on his finger with an arrogant swagger. And from the passenger's side stepped Lily. She had changed clothes and applied makeup to hide her haggard complexion, though her gait was still a little stiff. I narrowed my eyes. She got the money that fast? Figures. She was the campus goddess, after all. I wasn't the only sucker in her contacts list. But I'd bet anything she hadn't scraped together the full amount. Or rather, I wonder what price she paid for it. Jax wrapped an arm around Lily's waist, looking like he owned the world as he pushed through the glass doors. Hey, Miller, where are you? He shouted. The king is here to collect his throne. His voice was loud enough for the whole street to hear, desperate to make sure everyone knew he was spending money. However, he wasn't met with a warm welcome. The manager, who was busy processing my paperwork, didn't even look up as he called out, Sorry, Jax. The bike's gone. The taste of reality, the air, seemed to freeze for a few seconds. The smirk on Jax's face stayed plastered there like he'd been hit by a pause button. Lily froze too, her hand instinctively tightening on Jax's arm. Gone? What do you mean gone? Jax snapped out of it and stormed over to the counter, slamming his hand down. Manager, don't screw with me. We had a deal yesterday. You said you'd hold it. I brought the money. Who the hell took my bike? The manager finished the transaction, respectfully handed my black card back to me, and then turned around with a strictly professional expression. Mr. Miller, business is business. You had a verbal reservation, but no deposit. This gentleman here just paid the full amount in cash. If you're still interested, we have a V2 in stock. Would you like to take a look? Moving from a V4 to a V2 wasn't just a drop in specs. It was a massive blow to the ego. For a guy like Jax, who valued status more than his own life, it was an insult. Gentlemen, Jax spun around, his eyes scanning the lounge like a predator. Finally, they locked onto me. In that instant, his face went through a spectacular range of emotions. Shock, disbelief, rage, and finally a thick layer of mockery. Oh, I see. Look who it is. Jax let go of Lily and sauntered toward me. If it isn't our campus queen's little lapdog, Silas Thorne. Lily's face went white when she saw me. Her eyes were wide with panic. She never expected to run into me here, especially not as the buyer. Silas? What are you doing here? Lily bit her lip, her voice trembling. I ignored her and looked calmly at Jax. I bought the bike. You have a problem with that. Jax snorted, looking me up and down. You? Buy this? Silas, stop acting. Everyone knows you're just some office drone. Your monthly salary barely covers one of Lily's handbags. This bike is nearly 50 grand out the door. You couldn't afford this if you sold both your kidneys. Did you wander in here to play pretend and the manager actually fell for it? He turned back to the manager. Hey, don't let this kid play you. He's broke. That card he gave you is probably fake. Before he could finish, the manager walked over with the sales contract and the keys. Mr. Thorne, everything is in order. We've attached the temporary plates. You can ride it out whenever you're ready. Also, here is our complimentary lifetime maintenance card. Please keep it safe. The red Ducati key fobs glinted under the showroom lights. Jax's voice died in his throat. He looked like a duck that had been suddenly choked. He stared at the keys, then back at me. Full cash. Lily was even more stunned, her hand flying to her mouth. She knew my financial situation better than anyone, or so she thought. Every month, my paycheck went to her. Aside from a bit of gas money, everything I earned was spent on her. Where could I possibly get $50,000? Suddenly, a thought struck her. She rushed forward, pointing a finger at me. Silas, where did you get that money? Have you been hiding money from me this whole time? You had 50 grand? Why did you lie to me last night and say you didn't have 7? You'd rather buy a stupid motorcycle than help Jax achieve his dream? What kind of twisted person are you? Her voice was shrill and pierced through the showroom. Other customers were starting to turn and stare. I looked at her righteous indignation and found it pathetic. It's my money. Why should I have to report my spending habits to you? I stood up and took the keys. And another thing, Lily, I have plenty of money, but I'd rather throw it into a furnace than spend another cent on you. Is that reason enough? Lily stumbled back, her eyes brimming with tears. How can you say that to me? Silas, you've changed. You used to love me so much. Love, I sneered, leaning in close to her ear to whisper. The cost of loving you is $0.25 a pop. It's too cheap. I'm not interested anymore. Lily's pupils shrunk. Shame, rage, and fear swirled in her expression. She instinctively raised her hand to slap me, but I caught her wrist mid-air. Don't start something you can't finish, I said coldly. Save those hands for the manual labor you'll be doing for your golden boy. I shoved her hand away and walked toward the red beast parked on the floor. Jax finally recovered his voice. He felt like his face was being ground into the dirt. In a Chicago bike scene, Jax Miller never took an L like this. Silas, you're dead meat. You think you can just steal my bike? Jax lunged toward me, but 2 uniformed security guards immediately stepped in his way. In a high-end dealership like this, the security was professional. Mr. Miller, please control yourself, the manager said coldly. Mr. Thorne is a VIP client. If you cause trouble, I'll have to call the police. Jax's face turned a bruised shade of purple, his chest heaving. But he wasn't completely stupid. He knew he'd lose a fight here. He pointed a shaking finger at me. Fine. Silas, you think you're tough. You want to play with me? Just wait. Roads are slippery in Chicago. Be careful you don't end up a grease spot on the asphalt. I slid my helmet on, blocking out his noise. I hit the ignition, and the V4 engine let out a predatory roar that vibrated in everyone's chest. I tilted my head, looking through the visor at the woman I used to treat like a treasure. She was standing next to Jax, clutching his sleeve and trying to explain something, while Jax looked annoyed and shoved her away. The show was just getting started. I eased the clutch out, and the bike shot forward like an arrow. I left behind nothing but a cloud of exhaust and 2 pathetic clowns. I didn't go home after leaving the dealership. Instead, I rode to the heart of the Gold Coast, the executive lounge at the top of the Ritz-Carlton. This was Sloane Sterling's territory. I pushed open the heavy oak doors. Jazz music flowed through the dimly lit space. At this hour, the lounge was nearly empty, except for a woman sitting at the bar in a black slip dress. Her long curls were draped over her shoulders, and she was swirling a glass of neat whiskey. That was Sloane. Hearing footsteps, she turned. Her captivating eyes sparked with surprise. Well, look who it is, she said. The great Silas Thorne, king of the simps. What's the matter? Don't you have a lunch date with your little goddess? She set her glass down and rested her chin on her hand, looking at me with a playful smirk. I tossed my helmet onto the bar and took the stool next to her. Give me something strong, I told the bartender. The man looked at Sloane, and only when she nodded did he start mixing. We broke up, I said simply. Sloane froze, then burst into a fit of uninhibited laughter. Ha ha, finally. God, Silas, should I open a bottle of vintage champagne to celebrate? I told you years ago that girl was a high-level gold digger, but you wouldn't listen. You even blew off the merger marriage your family arranged just to play poor boy to test her true love. So, how'd the test go? I took the drink from the bartender and down a large gulp. The spicy liquid burned my throat, leaving a bitter almond aftertaste. 1/4, I said. Sloane arched an eyebrow. What about a quarter? Last night, she crawled into my bed for $7,000. Afterward, I gave her a quarter. Sloane's expression was priceless. She stared at me for a long beat, then slowly gave me a thumbs up. Bravo, Silas. That is cold, petty, and absolutely satisfying. But her tone shifted, her gaze sharpening. Knowing that girl, she's not going to just walk away. Especially not that Jax guy. He's a bottom feeder. You stole his bike today and humiliated his girl. He's going to look for trouble. I swirled the ice in my glass. I want him to look for trouble. If he doesn't, how am I supposed to bury him? Sloane saw the coldness in my eyes, and her smile deepened. So, the real Silas Thorne is finally back? What do you need from me? I looked at the woman who had grown up with me, the one who had always stayed by my side regardless of my idiocy. Compared to Lily's fake innocence, Sloane's raw ambition and honesty were far more intoxicating. Run a deep background check on Jax Miller. Everything. Bank accounts, history, everything. I pulled a card from my pocket and slid it across the bar. There's a party tonight. I want to use your club. Sloane glanced at the card but didn't take it. She leaned in closer, her perfume filling my senses. The club is yours. But I don't want your money. I want you to promise me one thing. I looked at her red lips, only inches away. What? Sloane reached out and tapped my chest with a manicured finger. Tonight, I'm your date. And if Lily shows up, I wouldn't mind teaching her what it actually means to be untouchable. The party and the truth as I expected, Lily wasn't giving up. By that afternoon, my phone was blowing up with texts. She had switched to a carrot and stick strategy. First, she sent a series of essays, reminiscing about our 4 years together. Everything from saving seats in the library freshman year to our graduation photos. Every line was dripping with, I love you. I was just forced into it. I only did it to save Jax. When I didn't reply, she started the pity party. Silas, I'm literally broke. Jax didn't get the bike, and he can't get his deposit back. He's in a terrible mood and keeps blaming me. My credit cards are maxed out, and my landlord is threatening to kick me out. Can you just send me my allowance for this month? It's not much, just $1,000. Even if it's a loan, please. I'm begging you. I looked at the messages and laughed. Before, as soon as my paycheck hit, I'd Venmo her $1,000 for expenses, pay her credit cards, and cover the rent and utilities. With whatever was left, I'd take her out to dinner and save up for her gifts. And me? I ate at the cafeteria, smoked cheap cigarettes, and hadn't bought new clothes in 2 years. I had pampered her into a life of luxury, and in return, I'd raised a viper. I silenced the phone and tossed it aside. 8:00 p.m. The Velocity Club, the hottest spot in Chicago for trust fund kids and influencers. It was Jax Miller's favorite haunt. According to Sloane's intel, tonight was Jax's birthday party. He'd booked the biggest VIP table, bragging that he was celebrating his new ride. I had changed into a custom-tailored Tom Ford suit that made me look every bit the heir I was. Sloane was on my arm, wearing a deep V black gown and a sapphire necklace that probably cost more than Jax's entire life. She was breathtaking. The moment we walked in, all eyes were on us. Who is that? He looks familiar. Wait, is that Sloane Sterling? The Sterling heiress. Who's the guy? Since when has Sloane Sterling let anyone hold her like that? Amidst the whispers, I walked straight toward Jax's table. He was sitting there with his arms around 2 heavily made-up models, drinking heavily. And shockingly, Lily was there too. She was sitting in the corner like a shamed servant, holding a fruit platter and offering awkward, forced smiles to Jax's friends. When I appeared, Jax froze. Lily dropped a grape, nearly tipping the whole platter. Her eyes locked onto me, then immediately shifted to Sloane. It was that female instinct, a total realization of being outclassed in every possible way. The jealousy and insecurity in Lily's eyes were impossible to hide. Well, look who it is. Silas. Jax pushed the models aside and stood up, his voice dripping with venom. What's the matter? Buy one motorcycle, and suddenly you think you're in our league? This is Velocity, man. Minimum spend here is 5 figures. Does your little piggy bank have enough for a single bottle? His friends burst into laughter. Lily stood up too, looking at me with a complex expression. Silas, why are you here? This isn't your scene. Just go home. She sounded like she was protecting me, but she just didn't want me to see her acting as Jax's doormat. I didn't acknowledge Jax's taunt or Lily's presence. I just snapped my fingers at the server behind me. This table is on me tonight, I said calmly. And bring Mr. Miller an ace of spades dragon set. Let's celebrate his dreams coming true. The club went silent. The dragon set 6 bottles of Armand de Brignac. It was the most expensive package of Velocity, retailing for about $25,000. Jax's face drained of color. He talked a big game, but he usually just hung out at other people's tables or bought a few mid-shelf bottles to look cool. 25 grand? He couldn't pay that if he sold his car. Silas, stop acting like a big shot. Jax growled. You don't have the money for that. I didn't say a word. I pulled out my black card and handed it to the server. Noping. Beep. The sound of the card clearing was crisp and audible even over the music. The server handed the card back with a look of pure reverence. Right away, Mr. Thorne, bringing the bottles now. Jax was speechless. Lily looked like she'd been struck by lightning. She stared at the card in my hand. She'd seen pictures of the Amex Centurion on Instagram, the black card. It was a symbol of the global elite. It wasn't just rich money. It was wealth money. Silas, you. Lily's voice shook. Who are you, really? I took a glass of champagne from Sloan and swirled it. I looked at Lily's pale, trembling face with total indifference. Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is, I pointed at the bottles being brought to the table. This champagne cost more than 3 of those Ducatis. It's a shame. I'd rather pour it down the drain than spend a single penny on you. Lily, tell me, do you feel like you're even worth that 1 quarter now? The music in the club was still pounding, but our corner was a tomb. The neon lights swirled over everyone's faces, making them look like caricatures. Jax's friends, who had been laughing a moment ago, were now dead silent, their eyes filled with fear and a sudden urge to suck up to me. The 2 models who had been all over Jax were already scooting away, trying to catch my eye. This was reality. Money was the ultimate filter. Lily was shaking. She looked at me, tears welling up, but they didn't fall. This time, she wasn't faking it. She was genuinely horrified. She had always thought I was a corporate slave who had to kill himself for a $5,000 paycheck. She'd enjoyed that feeling of superiority, treating my sacrifices as her birthright and my dignity as a floor mat. And now, the punchline was on her. Silas. Lily took a shaky step toward me, trying to grab my hand. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? If you're this wealthy, why didn't you ever tell me? If I'd known, I would never have. She was cut off by Sloane's sharp, melodic laugh. Pfft. Oh, I can't. I literally can't. Sloane wiped a tear from her eye. Honey, are you actually saying that if Silas had told you he was a multimillionaire, you wouldn't have gone and slept with this fake rich loser? That is the most honest gold digger confession I've ever heard. Sloane's voice wasn't loud, but every word was a needle. Lily's face turned a deep, humiliated red. You, who are you? This is between me and Silas. Stay out of it, she screamed. Sloane stood up slowly and walked over to Lily. She was taller, and her presence was like a physical weight, crushing the air out of Lily's lungs. Who am I? Sloane reached out and flicked Lily's ID badge, which she'd used to get into the VIP section. Lily Rivera, administrative assistant at the university. Making what, 40 grand a year? This dress is a DH Gate knockoff, isn't it? The stitching is coming apart at the hip. Sloane let go of the badge with a look of disgust. You don't need to know who I am. You just need to know that Silas is with me now. And you? You aren't even fit to carry his gym bag. You? Lily's voice broke as the tears finally fell. She turned to me, her eyes pleading. Silas, are you just going to let her humiliate me? For years, Silas. Does that mean nothing compared to her? I looked at her coldly. For years? Lily, you tell me. In those 4 years, did you ever buy me so much as a bottle of water? On my birthday, did you ever even cook me a meal? No. You only came to me when you needed money or when your vanity needed a boost. Now you want to talk about feelings. It's too late. I turned away from her and looked at Jax, who was sweating and hadn't said a word. So Jax, how's the champagne? Oh, I forgot to tell you. That Ducati at Redline? It was a lemon, a factory return with a cracked frame. Why else do you think a limited edition was just sitting there available? But even a lemon was too expensive for you, wasn't it? I hear that Porsche 718 you drive is a rental. $500 a day, $2,000 deposit. Did the money Lily gave you last night even cover the extension on the rental. Jax's pupils blown wide. I just strip him naked in front of everyone. You're full of it, he stammered. My family has millions. I don't rent cars. I smiled and pulled out my phone, tapping a file. I mirrored the screen onto the club's giant display above the DJ booth. Jackson Miller, unemployed. Assets, none. Real estate, none. Credit card debt, $45,000. Private loans, $28,000. Multiple police reports for romance, scams, and fraud. The room erupted. Everyone stared at Jax like he was a pile of trash. The aftermath, even the models who were touching him seconds ago, jumped away as if he had the plague. One of them actually spat on the floor. Scumbag. A total fraud. Gross. Jax's face was bloodless. He tried to rush the DJ booth to turn off the screen, but the security guards tackled him to the floor. Lily stared at the screen, her world crumbling. For this man, she had betrayed the person who loved her most. She had sold her body and her soul. It was all for a broke-con artist who was drowning in debt. No. It can't be, Lily whispered, staggering back. She suddenly lunged at Jax, grabbing his collar. Jax, tell me it's a lie. Tell me. You said you were a millionaire. You said we'd go to Paris. You said you'd buy me a house. I gave you everything. I cheated for you. How could you be a fraud? Jax had nothing left to lose. He shoved Lily away with such force, she hit the alcohol-slicked floor hard. Get off me, you bitch, he screamed. Yeah, I lied. So what? You're the one who's obsessed with money. You wouldn't have looked at me if you didn't think I was loaded. And gave me everything? You sold yourself for $7,000 last night. I've never met a woman as pathetic as you. Jax's words were like daggers to her heart. She sat there on the floor, her fake designer dress soaked in spilled drinks and filth. She looked like a stray dog. She looked up through her tears at me, sitting on the plush sofa. I looked back with a face like stone. To me, she was just a stranger now. Silas. She reached out a hand toward me, like a drowning person reaching for a straw. Help me. Please take me home. I know I messed up. I really know it now. I'll love you for real this time. I'll do anything. I'll cook. I'll clean. I'll give you a family. Please, Silas, don't leave me here. I set my glass down. I stood up, straightened my suit, and took Sloane's hand. Let's go, I said. The air in here is getting foul. Sloane nodded gracefully and leaned into me. We walked out together. I didn't look back at the girl on the floor even once. Behind us, I could hear Lily's heart-wrenching sobs and the mocking laughter of the crowd. After that night, Lily became a local legend for all the wrong reasons. The video of her breakdown at Velocity went viral in the university groups. Even though it was taken down eventually, the damage was done. The goddess who dumped a millionaire for a fraud was the joke of the year. I didn't keep track of her. I went back to the family firm, and the workload kept me too busy to care. Sloane became my partner in business and more. We were a perfect team. Life was back on track. Until 2 weeks later, Lily cornered me in the lobby of my office building. She had lost a lot of weight. Her skin was sallow, and the goddess glow was completely gone. She was wearing a faded t-shirt and holding a plastic Tupperware container. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she ran over. Silas. The security guard moved to stop her, but I waved him off. She stopped in front of me, nervously tucking a strand of hair behind her ear and trying to force a smile. Silas, are you off work? I made you some pasta. Your favorite, with the spicy marinara. You used to always cook for me, so I wanted to learn how to do it for you. She held out the container, her eyes full of desperate hope. I looked at the Tupperware. Back then, I used to spend hours in the kitchen, sourcing the best ingredients just to make her a meal she'd usually complain about anyway. Now, she'd finally learned to cook. Too bad I wasn't hungry. No thanks, I said coldly. My tastes have changed, and the company has a catering service. Lily's hand froze in the air. She bit her lip, her eyes turning red again. Silas, are you still mad? I'm done with Jax, I swear. I even went to the doctor. I'm clean, Silas. I'm still the same girl. Can't you just give me one more chance? I know you're rich now, but I'm not here for the money. I realized I can't live without you. I've spent every day for the last 2 weeks thinking about us, about how it used to be. She reached out to grab my sleeve. I stepped back. Lily, some things, once they're broken, they stay broken. Even if you glue them back together, the cracks are all people see. Besides, I pointed to the black Rolls-Royce idling at the curb. The window rolled down, revealing Sloane's stunning face. She gave Lily a victorious, pitying smile. I have someone who cooks for me now, and she's a much better chef than you'll ever be. Lily looked at Sloane, and the last bit of light in her eyes died out. She knew she could never compete, not in status, beauty, or character. She had lost everything. Silas. She choked out. Is it really over? I didn't answer. I turned and walked to the car. I climbed in and closed the door. Drive, I told the chauffeur. As we pulled away, I looked in the side mirror. Lily was still standing there, clutching her Tupperware like a statue. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no revenge high. Just indifference. When you truly move on, even hate is too much effort. Later, I heard Lily quit her job and move back to her small hometown in the Midwest. Some say she got married to a local guy. As for Jax Miller, he was picked up by the cops for grand larceny and wire fraud. He's looking at 5 to 10 years. I didn't care enough to check the sentencing. One evening, Sloan and I were walking along the Chicago Riverwalk. The city lights were reflecting off the water. Sloan stopped and looked at me. Silas. Yeah. Do you still hate her? I paused and smiled. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a coin. It was the same quarter from that morning in the apartment. I kept it as a reminder of the man I used to be. I flipped it into the air, a silver arc against the night sky. Plop. It vanished into the dark water of the river. No, I said, taking Sloane's hand. She isn't worth the energy. Story complete.